Good morning. Today on Spotlight, the battle to educate Michigan K-12 students in the middle of the worst pandemic in our lifetime. Why are public school leaders banding together like never before? And what exactly is their plan for navigating through this maze of money, politics, health, and education? We'll ask Mark Greathead, president of the K-12 Alliance of Michigan and superintendent of the Woodhaven Brownstown schools. And later on our Sunday morning program, find out why leaders of Detroit's First Independence Bank and Bank of America here in Michigan have joined forces together. It's Sunday, December the 13th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. President and Superintendent Greathead, thank you for joining me today on Spotlight. You're over in an organization that is now called the K-12 Alliance, but it was formerly the Tri-County Alliance.
Right.
How recently did you change the name, and why was it important for you to be able to change the name?
Sure, we've changed that name within the last month, and it's important to us as we now represent within the state of Michigan more than just the Tri-County area. We represent more than just Southeast Michigan. We've expanded into membership in a couple of other counties, and so we're carrying a much broader voice as it relates to K through 12 schools across the state of Michigan.
Sure. Which counties did you already have, and which counties did you bring in to expand?
Great question. We were Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb, and we have added Genesee and
St. Clair, maybe?
St. Clair. Yes, thank you, St. Clair.
That's okay. And then the figure that I saw that you now represent is something like 580,000 students throughout Michigan, and that's about 40% of the kids in this state?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Absolutely. We feel that that level of representation can't be ignored when it comes to K through 12 policy in the state of Michigan.
What is it you want from Washington? Let's start with Washington, then we'll work our way to Lansing.
Sure. We need that immediate financial support from Washington so that we can put together the plans that are going to be needed for the academic remediation for our students and the social emotional supports for our students as they begin to return to some sense of normalcy, and as we start to see how things are looking to play out over the next couple of months. It's going to require a significant financial investment for school districts to be able to provide the long-term supports that our students are going to need.
President Greathead, have you and the members of your organization, have you put a dollar amount to that?
We did commission a study that put the dollar amount at about $1 billion across the state of Michigan. And now that took into account PPE, cleaning supplies, enhanced protocols, and remediation going forward. That number is likely changed and shifted if we were to restudy that, but it still represents a pretty significant amount.
Mm-hmm. And then how about Lansing? Because certainly you've lobbied Lansing and you want the legislators there to make sure that they can help as well.
Sure. We expect that the legislators and the new legislature in January will begin in earnest with their budget building process. And we want to make sure that K through 12 education is a priority. It's going to require a priority investment from them going forward to make sure that we're able to provide the supports that we need.
And what impact has COVID-19 had on the budgets of the various school systems throughout more than Southeast Michigan, because you represent more than Southeast Michigan now, but the representation that you have, how many of those districts are teetering so close to the edge of their budget because of this, or may even be looking at possible bankruptcy?
Well, we know school districts were facing challenges even before the pandemic. But when you look at what the pandemic has brought, increase in supply costs, increase in personnel costs, strategies that we're going to need to employ make up the academic loss for our students and provide them the supports that they're going to need. These are all unanticipated expenditures that even a healthy school district, when I say healthy, I mean financially healthy school district, wouldn't be able to absorb.
Sure. All right, we need to take a quick little break. We'll come right back with some more questions about this very important topic. We'll be right back. Stay with us. President Greathead, in speaking for yourself and your members, you know these superintendents well, would it be safe to say that you all have been disappointed in the leadership both in Washington and in Lansing in terms of their attitudes towards trying to help out K through 12 school systems, or would that be completely off base?
I wouldn't say it's completely off base. We need to recognize that the importance that our schools and our teachers have, not just in the lives of young children, that goes without saying, but schools in general and the role that our teachers play is vital to our economy. And if our children can't be in school, that's going to have an impact on the parent workforce. We're also preparing students for the future workforce. So I would prefer to see a much greater emphasis played on the value and the importance of the K-12 education system that it has as a whole within the system, within the country and the state.
Will you, when a vaccine comes out and it's been approved by FDA, however many different platforms come out, is that something that you will mandate that your schools and the students there will have to take and get before they can come back into the school place?
No, that's not something we would go so far as to mandate as far as a requirement on the part of our students or our workforce. However, what we have advocated for is that our teachers and our students and school personnel be moved to near the top of that list of first to be eligible to receive that vaccine. The work that we do.
You think they should be right up there with healthcare workers in terms of first in line?
Certainly, I'm not looking to place value of one over the other, but I do firmly believe that our teachers are that important to not only the work they're doing in schools, but to the overall state of our community. So yes, I do believe they should be placed up there as some of the first to have the opportunity to receive the vaccine.
How can you keep the classroom safe if some are getting the vaccines, but some are not getting the vaccines? And why is that any different than when you come into kindergarten and the biggest question that's going to be asked is, has your kid had all their shots and all their vaccinations? What's the difference?
The parents, even at kindergarten, still have the choice of opting out of those vaccines based on their own belief systems. And so we're going to rely on the medical expertise and at what point we already know that not everybody is going to avail themselves of the vaccine. And I believe our medical experts have taken that into account. So do we need 100% compliance with the vaccine to have a safe environment? No, I don't believe so. But I am also going to rely on that medical expertise to reassure everybody that getting the vaccine is safe and it is certainly within theirs and their child's best interests.
And what's the position of mask in the classroom, especially as we go forward and the vaccine starts getting introduced? Will still be necessary, and you getting feedback from your personnel that most of them say we want people to still stay in mask?
Mask use within our school district, and as I understand it across most public school districts, has really not been an issue. It was an issue that we thought we were going to face coming into school, but every school that I've gone into and walked around in, our students, our staff are all compliant with the mask use. They're doing a great job with it, and I believe we will continue to utilize the masks, require the use of masks for as long as that medical expert direction is given.
Do you and your members believe that Governor Whitmer and her medical team has gotten this exactly right in terms of how they're approaching dealing with COVID-19, or are they totally off base and deserving of some of the constitutional challenges that they have received?
I wouldn't say anybody, myself included, has been exactly right in the decisions that we've made. And I would include the governor and her team in that as well. But I believe that they've made decisions in the best interest of our state, of our citizens, and of our students. And I also believe that where good decisions perhaps or the best decisions haven't been made, we learn from them and we make better decisions going forward when given the opportunity.
All right. Superintendent, great hit. We're going to take one more quick break. We'll come back with a few quick questions before we wrap this all up. Stay with us. Mr. President, what has been the biggest challenge in your district in the Woodhaven, Brownstown area?
Meeting the needs of the individual learner. Yeah, I wish we could come up with a model that would meet every student and every family exactly where their needs are at, but we don't have the resources, and nor is it realistic to do so. So the challenge has been finding the right options, the right course of action that works for most of our students, the majority of our families.
Your organization has also been very concerned about the count process that you go through every year in terms of trying to get a head count and want more clarity on that. Why?
Well, because that's where our funding is based. It's from the state level. It's based on our fall count and our spring count. And they've done some things to help alleviate what we've anticipated being a drop in enrollment this fall. So it's not as heavily weighted on what we have in terms of a student count this fall versus what it's been in the past. But that is a concern. We know that we don't have the same number of students in our systems this fall as we have in the past for a number of reasons, but primarily based out of concern and fear.
Sure. Two final questions. Earlier this year, a couple months back, your organization made a strong statement about racial sensitivity and equity and what you want and expect in the classrooms and in your school systems. Can you talk a moment about that and why it was important to put that kind of statement out?
Oh, sure. When what you see in society, you know it's going to be a reflection in our schools. And it's important to our students and it's important to our staff that they are treated fairly, that they are respected, and that we have that degree of sensitivity and unbiased. So that was our concern, wanting to make a statement. How do we move forward, with everything else that we see that is a challenge for us?
Sure. A while back, business leaders for Michigan said that they want Michigan to be a top 10 state. Are we even close to being that in terms of education?
I think we have strong leadership at the state level. We have strong organizations within the state leading us in that direction, and the educators within our state, from the superintendent, through building level administration, teachers, boards of education, are all committed to making that happen, and I believe we are well on our way.
All right. Mark Greathead, president of the K-12 Alliance of Michigan and superintendent of the Brownstown Woodhaven School District. Thank you so much for joining us on Spotlight. Stay safe.
Thank you for having me. You as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Will do. Coming up, an interview I did earlier with local bank presidents about why they are partnering up for the betterment of the city of Detroit. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Spotlight. Joining me now is Matt Elliott. He is Michigan Market Director for Bank of America, headquartered there in the city of Detroit and wings all across this state and all across this country. And Kenneth Kelly. Kenneth Kelly is the chairman and CEO of First Independence Bank, headquartered smack dab in the city of Detroit. Gentlemen, welcome to Spotlight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
It's a pleasure having you. Matt, let me start with you. I know that your bank, which has long tentacles here, has done a lot to be able to try to help get this community through COVID-19, and you also have teamed up with First Independence Bank to be able to give them some aid as well. Talk about what you've been doing in general and then this partnership, why this is important.
Sure, Chuck, thank you. We saw at the beginning of COVID how all of our communities were being impacted, but especially our communities of color and those in low to moderate income areas. And then as we saw, the deeper discussion around racial justice and equity unfold, we knew that even though we've been committed to all these topics for a long period of time, we could do more. And so we announced $1 billion commitment to help drive economic mobility, really in communities of color, and try to advance racial equality. As part of that, and this is not just a check writing exercise, Chuck, what we're really trying to do is create systems that we think will get at systemic barriers to mobility over a long period of time. We've made investments in lots of minority depository institutions, 13 to be exact, and one of the very first was right here in Detroit and First Independence, and we're thrilled to partner with Ken and his team as they drive out their mission in the city of Detroit, and we do the same.
Kenneth Kelly, talk about what this means to the bank, this partnership, and how you've been navigating through COVID-19.
Certainly. Again, thank you, Chuck. Thanks for having us. Really, we're just so grateful for Bank of America and what they've done. They really set the stage in being a leader by making those investments into banks like ours. We've been talking about this issue for now years, to be very candid. And so Matt and the team at Bank of America really just stood up and said, we're going to do something about it. And so in the midst of COVID, it helped us to really understand some of these disparities Matt just talked about. And so they just made a truthful effort in saying, we're going to do something about it. And we need more banks to do that. The inequalities we've seen across COVID are very evident. They're real. The data speaks for itself. And so we're just so grateful for a partner like Matt to kind of step up and say, we believe in you. We're going to invest in you to demonstrate that we believe in you.
Sure. This goes along with some other stuff that you've been doing. I know that you've been working with Grow Michigan, kind of headquartered there out of Lansing, and has, all sorts of things that they've been doing there into, I guess maybe this is their 4th or 5th season. It started up under Governor Snyder, is carried through Governor Whitmer. Talk about what that has been doing to be able to help First Independence Bank.
Well, we're just getting started in that effort and very excited about Grow Michigan. As you said, the current administration is very supportive of what is going on with Grow Michigan. It is an opportunity to do mezzanine lending, which is really just beyond where banks might lend, to help these businesses across the state really continue to operate and to thrive. And so what I'm really excited about is the opportunity not only to just do what we were continuing to do with Grow One, but to take that a step further and ensure that minority institutions get an opportunity to participate in this level of mezzanine lending. We had some that did in the past, like Leon Richardson with Chemical, but our focus this time is really going to be to ensure that minorities get a chance to participate, be at the table. I was excited about becoming chair under the auspice of being able to do that. And most importantly, we're excited that First Independence will help lead the charge on this effort, along with many of the other institutions in the state of Michigan.
Matt Elliott, I know that it's so natural for you. You've been crisscrossing the city, crisscrossing this state, and particularly this region. You and Tiffany Douglas, I've had you in studio before. You've teamed up on a lot of things to try to make an impact, particularly on the city of Detroit and the Southeast Michigan region. You've talked to the young people's group with the Detroit Economic Club down at the African American History Museum. You're a firm believer that we've got to invest now in this next generation and these young companies in order to make sure that we are healthy long-term for this state?
I really do, Chuck. I mean, this is not only a moral imperative, but there's a very strong economic case here. When you look at, for example, the median household income of an African-American family versus a white family, it's 58% of what a white family is. if we're going to be successful as a group together, we need to close that gap. And so one of the things that Kenneth's team and others are going to do here, not just with First Independence, but also Grow, is help make investments in those minority-owned firms. And what we know is that minority-owned firms tend to drive more business with other minority-owned firms. And so you get a positive flywheel effect going there. And so as a result, what we get as citizens of the state is we get a growing pie that's more equitable. And to me, that's a win-win. And that's what we believe at Bank of America.
Sure. Kenneth, tomorrow is a big day, Monday, New York Stock Exchange. You guys are going to be ringing the bell, correct?
Yes, Chuck, we're excited to announce we have the honor of ringing the virtual bell on the New York Stock Exchange when it opens on tomorrow morning. Very excited, and it's in honor of Grow Michigan, the effort of inclusion that we're going to try to bring into the financial sector to create jobs and opportunities for all in the state of Michigan.
Ken, one quick final question. I'll give you the last word on this. You have big footprint in the city of Detroit, big footprint in Wayne County. With these type of partnerships that you're doing with Bank of America, Grow Michigan, and others, are you looking so that down the line we're going to see a First Independence branch in other places of this state, maybe other cities, other counties, going beyond that base that you've had for a number of years?
Chuck, I will answer that by saying I think there's a growing demand for minority institutions across the country. As you may know, I'm currently serving as chairman of the National Bankers, which represent all minority banks across the country. And we're seeing a desire for many communities to say, you know, this is one way to demonstrate in a capitalistic society that we're inclusive. We all recognize, you go to any city and you see one of the tallest buildings in those cities are banks. And so banks represent hope for communities and are a beacon for the community. And First Independence, which started 50 years ago, was really the rising up of that hope in the city of Detroit. And so I can't answer that question. I know you're saying I'm dodging it, Chuck. But
Yeah, you are.
Yes, I am. But the reality is we certainly want to be a catalyst for this opportunity in this moment in time to help create economic opportunity, not only in the city of Detroit, but really across the country.
All right, so I think the best words for that is stay tuned, right? All right, Kenneth Kelly, thank you so much from First Independence Bank. Matt Elliott from Bank of America, thank you so much for joining us today on Spotlight. Best of luck to both of you and stay safe.
Thank you, Chuck. Take care.
Thanks.
I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the Spotlight. We hope you have a great week.